question is, what is an angel? So, to answer that first question, I'm gonna turn it over to the wife for a second, and she's gonna read something on it, and we'll start from there.
You're letting her read it because she's an angel.
Thank you.
Well, see, that's another story. She told me, you know, she told me that when I said it's gonna be about angels, she thought it was about her.
I did.
And so we've established that's not true, so, anyway. Okay,
Wow.
get up.
No, I'll just see it.
Okay.
He said, you sit down. He's behind me giving me directions,
Giving you
y'all.
directions, yeah.
Hey, Keith. Okay, we know that angels are created by God to fulfill His purposes or His missions, and some of the missions are to guide, to comfort, to protect, or to warn us, to warn people. And angels are actually supernatural beings. I know for those of us who have lost loved ones and lost people that we deeply care about, it's comforting to us sometimes to think about our loved ones having died and gone to heaven and become angels. But there's no biblical reference that I can find that substantiates or backs that up. Angels are supernatural beings created by God. And the word angel is literally translated from the Hebrew word mulak and the Greek word, this is a good one, agulos. And both of those words, both the Hebrew and the Greek words, mean messenger, okay? Now, there are some scriptural references that substantiate the purpose of angels. And the first one is in Exodus, found in Exodus 23, verse 20. And it says, "Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Do not provoke him, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if you indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries." So that clearly states one of God's purposes for angels. And the second scriptural reference is found in Psalm, this is my favorite, Psalm 91, beginning in verse 11. "For he shall give his angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot." And that is a word of protection, or a function of protection. And the third scriptural reference that I found was in Matthew chapter 28, verse 2. And this occurred after Jesus was crucified. He died, he had been buried in the tomb, and Mary Magdalene and Mary came to the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat on it. His countenance was like lightning, and his clothing as white as snow. And the guards shook for fear of him, and became like dead men. But the angel answered and said to the women, "Do not be afraid." So that's a word of comfort for the women. "For I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen. And he said, come and see the place where the Lord lay." And this is where he gives them instruction. And go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead, and indeed he is going before you into Galilee. There you will see him. Behold, I have told you.
So God, created the angel to do his work, his job, whatever he needed them to do. So I got a question. Anybody want to tell one or two things about angels that you know about them? Anybody? Okay. Then I'll ask questions.
I'm gonna call on people.
So we know from Genesis reading that they are messengers, and they do protect God's people. All right? Do angels marry? Anybody?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, angels don't marry. All right, when it's talking about the resurrection in Matthew 22, verse 30, it said, "For when the dead rise," talking about the resurrection, "they won't be married." So anybody that's in the resurrection, they're not married. They will be like the angels in heaven. So that answers that they don't marry. They're not married. They are, spiritual beings. All right, the angels die. Anybody know the answer to that?
I don't think so.
No.
The angels don't die. In fact, actually, angels, when it comes to judgment, the Lord won't judge, not going to judge them like us. People will be the ones that judge the angels during the end times. All right?
What are they gonna judge them on?
Yeah, what do you
They're
mean?
good. What are they gonna judge them angels on? Cause
Well,
they're God's messengers, so what are they gonna?
there's two things now. All right, next question from that question there. Do angels have free will? Or does he tell this angel, you're gonna be my messenger and do this, or you're gonna do that?
I don't think they have.
Do they have free will to do what
Well,
they
they
want?
do, because that's why
Huh?
Satan
Yeah.
fell
Mhm.
and the angels were cast down
Yeah.
with them, so they have to.
They do have
Free
free
will.
will. God gave the angels free will.
So they
She's
do what they
exactly
want.
right.
I would say they're servants of the Lord, but they probably have free will.
Well, it's just like us. He gave us free will.
That's exactly right.
Our tendency, humans, because of the free will, it's easier to do bad than it is to be spiritual, to do good. The angels are basically, their tendency is more toward being good instead of being bad. But he did give them free will. And Satan, is one of the main angels that, defied the Lord, and he cast him out.
That's true.
And a lot of the angels, went with him, and down there. Angels, they're, you hear through time and people that, an angel appeared to this person or that person and did stuff. So that we know you can, they can manifest themselves so we can see them, if they want. And they may be able, we don't know, they may be able to take on a human form, there's nothing in here that I can find that said anything about that, but they are holy. Now, angels are not to be worshipped. Okay, only the Lord, is the one that, she worships, so don't get in, in that part of it. And of course, I've already answered that angels, can sin. Angels are mentioned in the Bible over 250 times. Satan was the angel that God cast out of heaven along with others. And of course, Janice has already answered in hers that, people do not become angels, you know, when they die. You know, they're completely separate type, you know. He created us, we're at one level, and they're, you know, he created them, you know, and, you know, they're in the spiritual realm, you know. But, and they do have free will. And that's about all I could find about, you know, about angels. But I guess, you know, it's just a subject that I, you know, picked out of the air that maybe we could, you know, you might hear something or learn something about an angel that you didn't know, you know?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not really a question, well, it is, I guess, a
Only
question.
if I can answer it.
How about if I don't ask you?
Okay, they're
Does
good.
that make you feel better? Okay. We talked about one of the functions of angels is protection. Can you think of, or can any of us think of any time when we felt like we had a guardian angel, or we narrowly missed maybe being in an accident, or you felt protected?
Saturday night.
Yes,
We probably
I
take
came
it,
this close to being cute.
yeah.
probably take it for granted a lot, then you kind of think back on, you know, how did that, you know, something bad not happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I mean, contributed to.
I can, since you said that, I hadn't thought of it, and we hadn't talked about it. But I've got, I wouldn't be here today. I'd be dead and gone. I was up out in Tennessee. Can't remember what I was up there for, but it's out in the boonies. And still had active train tracks. But back then out, you know, when we went through some of the farm country, there wasn't nothing but a railroad sign. There wasn't no bells or whistles or nothing like that. And I was going down through there. And at that time, they used to have always a pig trail or a little road dirt next to the train tracks, I guess, a lot of times. And I was going down through there and never heard anything, never seen anything. And all, right before, I mean, I was like, this is the railroad track, and my car is right here, and I just turned left. And just as I turned left, the train wide open. Right down through. Which
That you were
that could have been
unaware
an
of.
angel, could have been the Lord, but it's definitely the Lord. You know,
Oh, yeah.
that, you know, for whatever reason, he had me turn that wheel. To me, it's a lot like Trump and the, you know, he turned his head. If he hadn't have turned his head at that instant, he'd be dead.
Right.
You know, now whether an angel, you've got an angel protecting you, looking over you, you know, could be. Either way, it's spiritual from the Lord. The only reason I'm still here, man, I'll never forget that as long as I live.
My granddad told me a story years ago. She's passed on now, but I don't even know how old I was, how long ago it was exactly. But he said he started having this pain in his head and face, and it ultimately was a nerve pain, but it got so bad that it was almost unbearable. His head and face was hurt so bad, it was just. He said it got unbearable. It was nonstop, nothing that he could do to get any relief. And he went to the doctor. The doctor said, the only thing I can do is sever the nerve going to your face, and it'll kill the pain. But he said your face on one side will begin to, you know, sag, you know, because there won't be any nerve in it anymore. Well, I'm trying to think how it went down. He said he was laying in the recliner and he was in intense pain. He was praying, and he said he don't remember if he dozed off or just had his eyes closed, but he felt something kind of touch his feet, and he looked, and there was an angel. He said, you know, he'd never seen it before, never seen it since, but he said there was an angel standing at his feet, and it was weeping, and it touched him, and he said the pain went away like that, and he never had it again. And it's powerful when you think about stuff like that. But he was a very godly man, and you know, I mean, I've never seen an angel. I don't know if any of y'all actually have, but I mean, I'm I'm sure he may have described it in some detail back then, you know, I was young when he told me that story, but it was it was impactful, you know, just knowing that God, I mean, you know, that was God, you know, sent that angel to perform that task for him, you know, and it's a very impactful story. I never will forget it, never have, but, yeah, he had a hard time telling it because it was, you know, it touched him so much, you know.
Anybody else?
Well, I have a little story. It's a little different. Whenever the boys were little, I forgot how old Derek was, but he was really small. He got a hold of some matches, and I did not know it. And next thing I know, he runs in the house, Grandma, there's a fair. There's a fair out there. And we were trying to figure out what the fair was, and about the time the deck and the den window starts blazing up, and Derek was so scared that he went and ran, and I was looking for him. But during the meantime, I mean, out of the clear blue sky, this guy appeared and got the hose pipe and started hosing everything down till the fire truck came, and he was gone before anybody knew it. And if that wasn't an angel, I don't know what is. It wasn't. We didn't see a car. We didn't know him, you know. But if he hadn't have done that, it could have been pretty bad. And I finally found Derek. He was in the closet, which I was relieved. You remember that, Daniel?
Do I remember it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How could you forget
That
it?
wasn't the only fire he started at that house, either.
Oh, I forgot that.
Utility room
I
up his
forgot
way,
about
not
that
at
one.
a different
Oh, excuse
time.
me.
And he actually said, he said it was a fur out there, and Grandma thought it was a cat. And she didn't pay him any attention till the window blew out and blazed.
Had a firebug on my hand. I
No,
forgot
he was
about
just
that
a
one.
stroke.
Well, he found, I got a fire story too, but I won't get into that.
Hunter.
That wasn't nothing but hickory that involved in my fire.
I to this day believe that man was an angel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hunter was about 2 months old. And everybody knows those first several months of having babies, like you're tired, you're exhausted. And he was about 2 months old, or 2 weeks old, sorry. And I gotten up in the middle of the night to feed him. And I put a pot of water on the stove, put the bottle in, warmed it, you know, got him, changed him, fed him, got him all put back to bed. I lay down, and Jared is on this side, I'm on this side, and I lay down like this, and I felt hands touch me right here, like Jared's hand reaching over to touch me. And I was like, and I look over, and Jared's back to me. So I'm like, that's weird. So I kind of like just snuggle down in bed again. Well, I feel it again, and I get up, and I love my husband dearly, but I'm going to throw him under the bus. He will talk and walk in his sleep. So I'm thinking, well, he's just messing with me at this point. So I get up out of bed, I walk around the bed, and I look down at him like this, and he's sound asleep. He's out. So I go back over, and I lay down in bed and get all comfy, and I feel two hands at this point, and they both touch my arm and shake me like this. Well, I get up at this point, I think I've lost my mind. And I get up, Jared is asleep. Well, at this point, I'm awake. I'm upset because I'm awake. I go out of our bedroom, and Hunter's room was right here. I check on him, and I start around the hallway, and I see smoke starting to come from the kitchen. Being tired and everything else, I had left that pot of boiling water on the stove, and all the water had officially boiled out of it. And the pot was starting to burn and everything like that, and smoke was starting to fill. And to this day, I will tell you that was the hands of God telling me and keeping my whole family safe.
Yeah.
So because if something would have happened, it would have got to Hunter's room before it got to us. And can't tell me any different. So I haven't seen it, but I have felt it. And you will never forget it, just like y'all said.
Anybody else? Well, I'm not very long-winded and I'm not very good at this, but I hope everybody learned something or heard something that, you know, that they didn't know about angels. That's it for tonight. What are you going?
Nothing. I'm innocent. I'm the baby.